What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for December 3rd, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. It is a game day edition of the podcast. It's rainy, but it looks like it's supposed to be cleared out in time for the game to start. Just trying to figure out my plan of attack so I'm not soaked for the game when the chilly winds or whatever start coming in, if they're coming in, who knows. But looking forward to the game. Before we get into today's episode, a couple quick housekeeping notes. There is a new Back to the Future this week. We did a look at Eric Lindros's career, so be sure to check that out wherever you get your podcasts. It's Back to the Future with a PH. Don't forget about our gift and food drive for the Maddie Ann Dixon Community Cupboard based out of Ambler. Right now, we're looking at those $25 gift cards to either Amazon, Target, or Walmart. Get them in by Friday. We went out and picked up ours yesterday, so we're going to make sure we drop it off one day this week before school. Looking forward to that. The food drive, people have been starting to Amazon me food orders and things like that so I can donate. Thank you for that. Keep them coming. If you need my address, hit me up offline. A lot of you have done so already, so thank you for that. If you're following along with the reverse advent calendar for today, today's item is jelly. A jar of jelly to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So that's what the kids added this morning before I even recorded this. They were excited about that. I think it's awesome too because they're at the age second and first grade where they're able to read it, so they enjoy reading it, going down to the basement, bringing it up, putting it in the bag. So pretty cool. But today's item is jelly. Be sure to get those donations in. Again, they're looking for the gift cards by Friday. Also, if there's no way for you to get over and drop off food or anything like that, they will take a cash donation. When I was there, they had just done an order for like $5,000. So anything you can do to help them out, especially during the holiday season, is much appreciated. Staying too with our 25 days of kindness. Today, it's a very simple one. Yesterday, we picked up trash, and I did so while it was nice because I saw the cart guy when I went to ShopRite to pick up my groceries, and he was appreciative. One of the flyers was rolling around the vestibule, so I went, picked it up, put it in the trash can, and the guy was very, very appreciative of that. But today, and if you're in Wawa, I know sometimes people like to get breakfast sandwiches or bagels or whatever in the morning. If you can, I'm not saying you have to go pay for the entire grocery order of somebody, but if you're standing in line, somebody's getting a coffee in the paper, or if people still get the newspaper, pay for somebody's order while you're waiting in line. I do this randomly sometimes when there's like a soldier, like some type of soldier, no matter what the branch of military is, or a vet or something like that, I'll pay for their coffee in Wawa. But if you can, I mean, it's pay for somebody's order, buy them a donut, a bagel, whatever. Just kind of make their day, and just sort of, especially if you're doing it in the morning. So that's today's act of kindness. I'm probably going to try to do that when I go into Wawa. To get the cash for the tailgate today, I'll go grab like a coffee or a cupcake or something and just pay for whoever's behind me or in front of me. But just go do that. Make someone's day. It's a very easy, inexpensive thing to do. So let's go do it. All right, Big Five Classic kind of lived up to the billing yesterday. We had three pretty decent games. The championship game probably was the biggest bust of them all. But Drexel upset Villanova 57-55. LaSalle and Penn played down to the wire. I missed it because I was watching college football, but I think there was a buzzer beater in that game. But 93-92 over Penn, and then St. Joe's took first place in the Big Five Classic, winning 74-65 over Temple. And God Almighty, the Temple Owls cannot shoot free throws. Jesus. And we'll just leave it at that. It was bad. It was brutal. If they made half of the free throws they missed, this is a much closer game. But congrats to the St. Joe's Hawk. The Hawk will never die, apparently. I'll give a little shout out to my cousin there who called me to talk a little trash before the game as well. But St. Joe's winning the Big Five Classic. No word yet on what the turnout was for attendance and whether they're going to be able to keep it sustainable for moving forward. But it was fun this year. And I think maybe they could have done a little bit better marketing in the area. Because I completely forgot about it until it kind of already started because of the way the schedule. So maybe if they can kind of plan ahead more, that might work. If you guys want, I'm available. So anybody from the Big Five is listening, give me a call. Like I said, while we're at it, I keep saying this, but radio stations out there, 97.5, 94, come on, give me a call. I mean, I'm willing to do it. I'll do a hit on Comcast Sportsnet or NBC Sports, I guess it is now. That's showing my age right there. But let's go. I'm just going to shoot my shot. Let's go. Get me on. But good time for the Big Five Classic. Again, I think if they marketed it a little bit better, like the playing games leading up to it, it might have been something. Maybe they do, and I don't know, maybe they try to do the Palestra for triple header, like pod days. I don't know. But Big Five, give me a call. I got some ideas. Good win for the Flyers yesterday, 4-3 shootout win over those pesky Penguins. It was their first comeback win of the year, which is good. And again, this team is young. And just games like this and experiences like this are things that they're going to build on and grow. Their penalty killing was outstanding yesterday. So good win for the young Flyers team. They're back at it tomorrow against the Penguins down at the Wells Fargo Center. So the old home and home series with the Pens. Sixers, not really much news there, but their schedule is opening up a bit. The next 7 games, they will play teams with losing records. So hopefully they can kind of get right. Kelly Oubre's coming back. And I think this stretch here in December is key for them moving forward into the new year to figure out what they want to do as far as trading and making the team better. But we'll see. I mean, I like the fact that they should be able to get right and try to get back on track and see what they have. And I mean, they're hanging right there. The East, nobody's really running away with it yet. So there's that. So there's still some time. All right, Philly Goat. Told you I put my order in yesterday. The order we put in for nieces and nephews came in. The Fanatic shirts, phenomenal. The shipping has been quick because of the holidays, but time is running out. You have roughly about a week or so to get that in, so don't wait. Whether it's the Philly John or Philly John, Mega John hoodie, you got the Flyers stuff. I'm telling you that I've been telling you to get in on now. The ugly Christmas sweaters, which I can't wait for that to come. That might be something I just randomly wear anyway. You name it, they got it. My daughter wanted the Believe shirt, so I added that onto the order. Just whatever you want, and she was so excited because she got the one. It was the same one that Alec Boehm wore. So go to Philly Goat, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. It's not too late for Christmas shipping, but don't wait because there's only a week left. And they have those amazing rock shirts. They have the Green Sabbath, which would be great to wear for an Eagles game. I like the way they're going. I can't think of the Maxi one now. Iron Maxi. So I like where he's going with that. I'm anxious to see if there's a new one coming out. Go to Philly Goat, 10% off your order by using the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. All right, it is game day. And went back and forth, and as the week went, as typically has been going for me when I do these picks, slowly but surely I've been trying to get a feel for this, and kind of started to become clear to me. But before I get into what the pick is, just a couple things about Brock Purdy and how there's been a lot of talk about him being an elite quarterback because he's putting up numbers. And I have him on one of my fantasy teams, and I picked him up, and his numbers are okay. But the problem is I feel like he's beating up on teams, and it's hard to quantify this because in fantasy football that they count the same. But to me, a lot of his numbers are garbage time numbers, meaning they're not good teams. So the teams that they've beaten, they beat Dallas this year, and I mean they thumped Dallas. They also beat them in the playoffs, but it was a much closer game last year in the playoffs than what it was this year. They beat Jacksonville, which Jacksonville is an up-and-coming team, kind of a dark horse. Some people pick them for the Super Bowl. Miami, but we beat Miami too. And then it goes or Miami last year, and Miami that when they beat Miami last year, Miami was about to lose 5 straight games. They were about to just kind of tank the rest of their season. They beat Pittsburgh this year. I mean, Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback. The Seahawks are imploding right now. They beat them in the playoffs, yes, but it was a wild card game. They lost to the Bengals with Joe Burrow. They lost to the Browns without a quarterback, and they lost to the Vikings. So I'm having a hard time kind of quantifying this. Brock Purdy is a good quarterback when it seems like good or better defenses kind of shut him down, and then he rides his D a lot, manages the game, and like if McCaffrey's not going, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit overrated. All of that to say, I think the Eagles are going to come out with a game plan very similar to what they did with Miami. The weapons, I think San Francisco has more weapons than Miami, but I think the speed and having that experience against the Dolphins is going to help them out in this game, because I don't think McCaffrey, Debo, or Ayuk, or Kittle, they don't have the speed. Like, yes, they're good. I'm not taking that away from them, but I don't think they have the speed, and I think that's going to be the key. No word yet on whether Fletcher Cox is going to play or Goddard, but I think defensively they're going to have the right game plan. I also feel that everybody's been talking 11 games now that the Eagles have not played a complete game, which they haven't. And I know there's a lot of people on either side that will say, well, maybe this is just who they are, but they have not put it together. They have not played their A game on offense teamed with their A game on defense. They haven't even done A and B. It's been like an A and then like a C, or a C and an A. So I have a feeling that this team always seems to rise to the occasion when they need to. They do what's needed to win. In order to win this game, you're not going to be able to play like shit to start the game like they have been. And I feel as though they've been quiet. All of the chatter and all the talk coming from the 49ers, Debo saying James Bradbury is trash and then doubling down on it. You haven't really noticed much talk out of the Eagles, and that's a testament to Nick Sirianni and how he keeps them focused. I think the Eagles are locked in on this game. And I don't know. I'm not in the building, so I can't. This is just speculation. But there's just all week it's been like the way they've been responding to things and just kind of blowing things off. I don't know. There's just something. I feel like they're going to come in locked in on this game. I could easily see them losing this game, but they've been quiet, which I think they're focused on this game. And as much as the Niners have been very outspoken about this is a big game, revenge, this, blah, 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 blah. In reality, it's just another game for the Eagles, but I don't think it's just another game for the Eagles. I think they're in their heads right now, like, okay, keep talking, keep talking. I look for the defensive line to have a field day. I look for them to get some pressure on Brock and really make things easier for James Bradbury, make it easier for the linebackers. They're going to have to figure out, like McCaffrey's probably going to get his, and that's okay. But I don't know. I think this is the game we finally see it all come together, and I think they're about to break out. I mean, the spread is the Eagles are still getting 3 points. I don't know. And I go back to Goddard for a second. He's doubtful, but they didn't. I guess they have a deadline on Saturday to call guys up from the practice squad. They didn't call anybody up to fill that tight end spot. So basically, they're kind of rolling with Calcaterra. I think was still questionable, but they're rolling with basically Stoll is the only guy, and Albert O, I guess. That leads me to believe that there is still a shot that Dallas Goedert plays in this game, which would be a huge pump up for that offense. Which, I mean, you saw Jalen Hurts. I think he's he's got something. All eyes are going to be on him. And I think when the money is, or the lights are on the brightest, that's when he shines. I think he's going to shine today. I think it's a get-right spot for both units. I think they play well. I think the 49ers have talked too much trash, and there's some doubt in that locker room. And Fred Warner coming out and saying, I wish we hadn't talked that trash, or whatever his exact quote was, that to me is very, very telling. And maybe I'm reading way too much into it and playing amateur therapist, but there's a reason why he said that. There's something going on in that locker room, and I don't know. I think they're saying the right things outward, like they're speaking the right things, but inside, I don't know. It's going to be a hostile environment. Listen. I thought they were going to lose to Buffalo. I thought they were going to lose to KC. I don't think they're losing this game. I've said it since the schedule came out. They're not losing this game. They 100%. I can't see it. And maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe because I'm going to the game. I'm looking with my Kelly green colored glasses on. But I don't see it happening. I don't see the 49ers coming in here, and I think it sets the tone now for the rest of the season that, you know what, Super Bowl goes through Philadelphia once again. Official pick, we're 9-5-1 on the year. We're going Eagles plus the 3 points. Take it, sprinkle a little on the money line too, because I think the Eagles win it outright. And I don't know. I just see it being one of those games that I don't see it. I think they get it all together. I think there's been too much talk. The Eagles seem focused. Let's go. Eagles plus the 3. Let's go. It's not too late to listen to my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Check them out wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. They had a good episode this week as we prepare for the games coming up. All right, now that we got our pick out of the way, let's go back to 2014. And on this day, the Sixers traveled to Minnesota, and they were on the brink of history that day. They had just opened the season with 17 straight losses, and if they lost this game to Minnesota, they would have tied the 2009-2010 Nets for the most losses, I should say, to open up a season. They were up 10 after the first quarter, down 2 at halftime. It was 34-32 at halftime of this game. Just a brutal, brutal game to be at. This was at the very beginning of the process. When all the dust finally settled, though, the Sixers finally won their first game of the 2014-15 season, 85-77, out in Minnesota, avoiding the dubious distinction of opening the season with the most losses in NBA history. Michael Carter-Williams went 20, was a rebound and an assist. He had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists from a triple-double. Robert Covington had 17 off the bench, our old buddy Rocco. Ironically, ex-Sixer Thad Young had 16 to lead the Timberwolves. Now, that 14-15 Sixer season was the year they drafted Embiid, so he was setting out. They went 18-64. And that was only good enough for the third worst record in the league. Minnesota was worse, followed by the Knicks. That was the year they drafted Jahlil Okafor. And then they promptly went 10-72 the following season. But on this day, back in 2014, the Sixers beat the Timberwolves 85-77. Yes, that score is correct. 85-77 to win their first game and avoid losing 18 straight to open the season. Just a brutal time to be a Sixers fan, but now we take for granted that we're getting competitive games every night. But back then, it was hard to watch. All right, today's Philly Sports Advent Calendar gift to you. We open the door, and it's the 1953-1954 LaSalle's men's basketball team. That team was led by National Player of the Year Tom Gola, who the arena down there on North Broad is named, or I guess it's not on North Broad, off of North Broad, but the Tom Gola Arena down at LaSalle. They won the NCAA championship that year. They beat Fordham, NC State, and Navy to get to the Final Four, and then beat Penn State and Bradley to win the title. They ended up 26-4 that year. Tom Gola won the most outstanding player in the tournament. And Gola was just Mr. Everything. He was basically Magic Johnson, how he could play all 5 positions on the court. He was Magic Johnson before Magic Johnson was Magic Johnson, if that makes sense. That year, he led the nation in scoring with 21.7 points per game, and then had 23 rebounds per game, which is just unheard of in today's game. Tom Gola is still the NCAA's all-time leading rebounder. The following year, they would go back but lose to the championship to the San Francisco Dons, a team that was led by future Celtics and Hall of Famers Bill Russell and Casey Jones. But today's Philly Sports Advent Calendar is a team you probably never knew won the NCAA championship, and that was the 1953-1954 LaSalle team. And that whole stretch between like the early to mid 50s, that's when the Big Five was coming into play, and where Philly basketball was just great. Temple had a Final Four or 2 in there as well. But today it was the 1953-1954 LaSalle Explorers men's basketball team who won the NCAA championship and then would go back to the championship the following year only to lose to Bill Russell. Not really any shame in that, to be honest. All right, this day back in 2004, the Eagles, or 2014, the Sixers. Jeez, I got Eagles on my mind. The Sixers won their first game of the season. They started the season 1-17 en route to an 18-64 record. The pick for the Eagles game, Birds plus the points. Let's go. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. But I just, the focus that I'm seeing out of that building, and that is huge, and that's key for me. I think the Niners are talking a lot of trash. It's going to be a hard-hitting game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Eagles are going to roll them. I'm saying this is going to be a hard-fought game, but they have proven all season that those are the games they win. I don't know if the 49ers have. They either win big for the most part or lose big. And again, the Eagles play close games, so this game is going to be close, but I look for both sides of the ball to put it together. Today's question of the day, let me know what you think. What are your predictions for the game? Am I out of my mind? Are the 49ers going to come in and roll us? Just a quick recap. I almost forgot. Yesterday's question of the day was, is Randall Cunningham a Hall of Famer? And honestly, I was surprised. It was basically 2-1 saying that he's not a Hall of Famer. But many of the people that said he's not a Hall of Famer said he revolutionized the game. He was ahead of his time. All of those things I said yesterday. And to me, that's why he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. His stats are comparable to some of his contemporaries, but the fact that he revolutionized the game is why he gets in. But again, thank you for all of you who participated in it. I'm loving the dialogue. I'm still working on the hotline. And trying to figure that out. Hopefully by at some point in December, I'll get that up and running. If not, definitely January 1st. I just set the date for me, so be on the lookout for the podcast hotline. I got to think of a cool name for it as well. But let me know. What are your picks for the Eagles game today? I think the Eagles win. Take the Eagles plus the points. I don't see the 49ers coming in here and beating us. Be sure to get your donations in. Today's reverse advent calendar item is jelly. If you're in the store today or this week even, buy somebody a coffee or something. Pay for their order. That's your random act of kindness. It's going to be a raining morning, but it's going to be a rocking afternoon down at the link. I'm Jim Montgomery. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for December 3rd. Go have yourselves a Sunday, and until next time, go Birds.